Hello, and welcome to Of the People. I am Robert Chernin.
And I'm Ericka Redic.
And we are back for yet another episode of news, politics, and maybe just a little irreverence. What do you think, Ericka?
I think just a little irreverence today.
Well, you're a little generally irritable today, so I figured I would match you and not raise you a little bit.
All right. I'm feeling that. Because
Okay.
I have a feeling we're going to get real fired up in the show today. I have a feeling.
This is like a premonition. Do you have these feelings often?
The women's intuition tells me that there's something cooking today. That's what I'm thinking. I got that sixth sense.
So let's jump right into something's cooking.
Okay.
I mean, we like to lead off the show, as you know, with WTO, Where's the Outrage?
Yeah.
And honestly, just once, I'd like to go through a week where I can't find anything to be outraged over or questioning why there's an outrage. So there is a plethora
with that.
Right. There is a plethora of stuff this week as well. And let's start with one of my favorite lines of all time, which is trust the science.
Science.
Don't you love when they tell you
science.
that? Because trust is going to be a large theme, at least in this show. But let's start with what's been shoved down our throat since 2020?
Okay.
Trust the science. So you're going to love this.
All right.
So the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, had their first post-COVID annual meeting in Atlanta, Georgia, and the Society of Epidemiologists, the detectives of disease who are supposed to find all these diseases met in Atlanta, CDC. And guess what?
What?
It was a super spreader event and with a huge outbreak of COVID.
Oh my God.
These are the people, by the way, we're supposed to trust. Trust them because not only can they find it, they can spread it.
There is something the irony there, given that these are the same, maybe not, but maybe the same folks who were trying to tell everybody to stay away from each other and that they knew best how to protect everyone and tell us what to do, but they couldn't do it at their own event.
Apparently not. They even made an announcement.
Oh,
on the last day about the super spreader event. It just it just outlines I guess, am I allowed to say the word stupidity? I don't know. They can bleep me, but it outlines. I mean, these are our elite epidemiologists,
our moral betters, even
our well, not only our moral betters, but our intellectual betters, and so we should follow the science, which means follow them. And, we're not going to get into all the misinformation and who said what and which study. I mean, there's plenty of that out there for anybody who wants to read it. But for these knuckleheads to be at a conference and, you would think, so wait a minute, let me back up. So it's okay for me, but not for thee or something like that? So, because if we went to something like this, shouldn't they have tested themselves?
Well,
they're the ones that are around it all day long.
It is all for me and not for thee, right? Because it's what you started with. Trust the science, right? Science used to be a methodology, more like a verb. And now it's a noun that can be attributed to a person. And so if, science is now the embodiment of a person and, these character qualities and all this other stuff. And now, again, we're supposed to, trust you guys, let you lead us, let you tell us what to do to the point where you can destroy our economy and businesses and jobs and the whole bit. But y'all can't keep it out of your own room?
Well, and again, slightly different perspective. To me, they're now saying that science equals immutable truth, right? Because if it's science, you can't question it. And yet the very nature of science, right? Again, they're redefining yet another term, right? They haven't come out and redefined it and said what it means, but they're clearly operating in the arena that science is now truth and therefore don't question the science. The problem is, right?
Yeah.
if you take a scientific experiment and a lot of times you're going to get different results. Science is the pursuit of knowledge, but and the science is not knowledge. It adds to knowledge by itself, and it's not truth. Again,
Yes.
it still wears the outrage to me. It's just the irony of it all, right?
Oh, Robert, I love this. I love this because the most distilled down example I like to give people is that when I was growing up, Pluto was a planet. Okay? Science said Pluto was a planet. Now y'all are saying it's just a rock that happens to somehow have some kind of reasonable orbit that seems to mimic a planet or some other crap. I don't even know. I think then it was a planet again, and then it wasn't again. So science, if you want me to believe that science is a immutable truth that doesn't change, you got a long way to go to convince me of that, ladies and gentlemen. And I think that those redefinitions, that's where we get into the danger zone, Robert. And I love that you brought this up and that we continue to highlight, how did you say it? Science is a process, not a thing or something.
Science is the pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah, that's what
it is. Not. It is not truth.
Correct.
Right? I do have to tell you, you just rocked my world.
Yeah.
Did they redefine Pluto?
Yeah,
Where was I for this?
Yeah, dude.
Because I thought Pluto was like a dog on Popeye, right? But so did I miss something?
Yeah, no. Nope. No, you didn't.
That's sort of right up there with rings around Uranus, the planet Uranus, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's just you go, okay. But so
Taking
let's
people's
stay with
word for
it. Not anymore. Let's go to stay with irony. So, that old Tony Bennett song, and don't make me sing because then we'll have no listeners, but if I end up singing, that song, Tony Bennett song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco? Well, now not only do people leave their hearts in San Francisco, they leave their money in San Francisco, they leave appendages in San Francisco, and they're leaving San Francisco. So it's just been announced that Nordstrom's is shutting all stores in San Francisco. This follows major closures by Walgreens. This follows major closures by Whole Foods in downtown San Francisco, which, if you haven't been, is this dystopian war zone. Okay? And the reason they're closing stores is because, quote unquote, lack of foot traffic and a rising rate of crime.
Yeah.
And then the subtext is, well, but crime is not at an all-time high. But the thing I find ironic is, so wait a minute. Do you think maybe the lack of foot traffic has anything to do with the rising crime, or these are just two mutually exclusive things they put in the same announcement?
Yeah, people don't want to. Okay, let me put it to you this way. No, I love this. People are so dim sometimes, and the inability to make connections is shocking to me.
Right.
If there's a bunch of if there are a bunch of drug addicts shooting dope on the street and there are people defecating publicly, and keep it, Robert, I don't know if you remember, Benjamin and I lived in Hollywood for a little while, so we got to experience this. I remember one of his first gigs was actually down near Skid Row, and he's having to look for the building that he has to go in, dodging sketchy looking people who are checking him up and down. What normal human being wants to go walk around in an environment like that to go shopping? Who's going to choose that?
Well, clearly not in San Francisco, because the exodus from San Francisco has been. Let me put it this way. According to the statistics, and I can't quote them, but I can if somebody wants to email me. San Francisco is the slowest recovering big city. The exodus is still continuing. By the way, This is the same place. Oh yeah, they've just now passed the. By the way, they just now passed the. Or the committee put out for reparations that every person in California of black descent or who lived there since a certain, I forget all the criteria, should now get $1.2 million apiece.
Yep. Wait, was
so
that the state or was that the local? Because I know it was San
it's
Francisco
the
or
local.
Oakland passed
Yeah, so
something.
it's in Oakland. It's in
Yeah,
Oakland.
and
But
it's like 1.2 million a year, $5
no,
million
no.
payout, a house for $1 plus money annually. It's a whole. Oh, it's a lot. It's like unreasonably lot of money.
Yeah. So basically, I left my heart in San Francisco should be remade by some local artist. I left San Francisco, and see how that goes. Just saying.
I think everybody should leave the big cities. Personally, I appreciate living near a city. I appreciate getting to have a lot of food options and art and culture and all of those things. But I'll tell you, I don't know why anybody would want to live on top of one another like that, especially after what we've seen the last few years.
So basically, you're going to make me saying, "Thank God I'm a country girl." Right?
Yeah, literally.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes,
So
yes.
you can take the girl out of the country. You just can't take country out of the
You
girl.
cannot. No.
All right, Erica. I hate to do this to you,
Okay.
but I'm gonna. Are you sitting down?
I am actually.
Good. Did
right.
you know that God is trans? Come on.
Okay.
Did you know
Okay.
that? So there is
Okay.
a Presbyterian church in New York City, and I need to read this so people believe me.
Okay, so
right?
wait, we remember
it is-
now Presbyterian. We
Oh
looked
no,
up.
no, we're gonna connect it to my girlfriend from Arizona in a second.
Okay, but we
So
looked Presbyterian up last week, right? And Presbyterian is the
We
one
did.
that does not have a biblical worldview.
The Church of St. Paul the Apostle,
Okay.
in New York City, has an exhibit that says God is trans, and it says, wait, it gets better.
What does
It
this
says
even mean?
It says the exhibit is called "God is Trans: A Queer Spiritual Journey," and it was on display at the Church of St. Paul the Apostle. What do you think of that?
I don't
Where's the outrage?
I don't understand what that means. Like, what does that mean? Are we saying God is a person, human being now?
Well, I mean, so what was her name? Stephanie Hamilton, who was the Arizona lawmaker, by the way, who was the Presbyterian. Sorry, it's just this new set of lips today, ladies and gentlemen. It'll get there, right? I just made up a new religion. Presbyterian, right? Presbyterian, easy for you to say. That, after she got caught.
Oh, right. She was hiding Bibles. Yeah,
she was hiding Bibles. So she gets caught and she makes a speech on the floor that basically apologizes that she was just joking. Number one, of course. And there's a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to sell you. But that she was really concerned at the transgression about the church and state, the separation of church and state. And she didn't mean anything by it, but she was hiding Bible. I mean, so you go to the hiding Bible thing. I mean, we had hiding Biden last week.
Yep.
Now it's hiding Bibles.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to connect the dots here. Maybe it's that this church, the Apostle of St. Paul Church, didn't have enough Bibles to go around, so they're bringing in new material. I don't know. I mean, you do realize this is against a backdrop where the membership in the Presbyterian Church nationwide has dropped by almost half since, I don't know, I think it was 2000. So, I mean,
well, I
can't imagine why.
That's what I know. A lot of the people that I know of that are Presbyterian, like most of the people that I know that have, go to like Unitarian churches or whatever, they may even still call themselves Christian, but they don't want to do all the religious stuff, right? They're like, oh, we want to, whatever. But then when you start saying other things that are just really not biblical, it does not surprise me that people are then walking back away from that church. They were probably thinking they're going to a church that's more open and welcoming, but then you go to this church and they say things like, God, what does that even mean? God is trans? Like, God is God. And you're now trying to ascribe what? Sexual characteristics to God? Are we now talking about God's sexuality? Why are we talking about God's sexuality? Are we trying to? What is it? I don't.
Because all their Bibles are hidden. They've forgotten the word, so they're making it up as they go along.
Like
it makes perfect sense to me.
It's like the only thing about a person is who they want to have sex with. That's weird. Like that is weird.
Look, serious. Let's inject a serious note here. So I was a member of a temple for many years, and as someone who's Jewish and conservative, right?
Yeah.
I know when I walk into any shul or synagogue, unless it's Orthodox, I'm in the minority in terms of political views. But I don't go to my temple or my spiritual house for politics or for that kind of messaging. I go there for spiritual comfort. I go there to focus on what we have in common, not what we have that separates us. But I ended up, after many, many years of being on all these boards, I ended up leaving because they started preaching politics from the bima, which is the altar, right, in the temple. And I just think we've so overcomplicated all of this, especially some of these religions. And I did just look it up as you were talking. So the Presbyterian church has gone from, in 2000, 2.5 million members down to about, I don't know, it says less than half, right? But it's this kind of nonsense that does that.
Yeah.
It just, you just sit there and go, okay. So anyways, I know we've got a few more minutes left in this segment. I have one other thing. So I want to go from where's the outrage to my outrage. So this is Robert's rage. Can we have a new section? Robert's rage.
Robert's rage.
Rage.
We need
as long as Robert's not on roids, you can have a rage. It's okay.
Robert's not roid rage.
Yeah, no roid rage.
Not roid.
So there's another article. I think it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where this homeless man, happens to be a black man, shoots two people, one in the library, one in some other restaurant, and the headlines are "Black man shoots two white people." Now, I have to tell you, I was offended by that because the truth is, I care that this guy shot two people. I don't care the color. I mean, even the media now is so complicit in this, and they're looking to get ratings. I mean, does it really matter that the black guy shot two white guys, or just that some guy inadvertently shot two other guys? I'm so outraged that it has become so embedded in our culture that the first thing we always put out there, well, this white guy did this, and this black guy did that, and this Asian guy. I mean, we have so lost our compass, and all it does is reinforce the division. Thank you, President Obama. That was been festering since then. I'm outraged that the lead story is black man shoots two white guys.
Yeah, it's, It is really disgusting, Robert, to the extent to which the media is trying to divide America along racial lines. And I can tell you that as a woman in an interracial marriage, it has become more and more and more clear that that is what they are trying to do. Benjamin and I have been together for 10 years. And when we first got together, there was no talk about, there's some people who are don't think that races should intermingle. There's always been those voices. But there's people now online on social media talking about how terrible it is for a black man to marry a white woman. And it is now openly okay for people to say that interracial marriage is bad. And there's a concerted effort. I'm watching a concerted effort to bring us backward to the 1970s loving decision that made it legal for there to be interracial marriage. And I just think it's really disgusting, and people need to be careful with their rhetoric and with the news to remember to see each other as individual human beings and not as racial groups.
And you know what? Very well said. I couldn't say it better. I want to close this section on one other note. It's sort of a personal one, I guess. I blame. Look, the country's always had the racial divide, and trying
Yeah.
to sort of perfect the nation is a journey and not a destination. But I lay this at the feet of President Obama, who really ripped the scars off of all the divides in the country, and because before that. I mean, I grew up with people of all sorts, different race, creeds, and colors, and I was, on the mats in the martial arts for years with people from all walks of life. With that diversity thing, it was always, but we were always taught that whole Martin Luther King philosophy about it's the content of someone's character, not the color of their skin. And after Obama, who divided black from white, rich from poor, men from women, you name the social fissure, the social divide, and he exacerbated it. So now the country, myself included, it's like the lens of race colors, no pun intended, everything.
Yeah.
And you can't not see it. And I frankly resent it, and it's wrong. And all it does is divide us as a country. And I'm so tired of being divided as a country, pitting one little group against another, because all it does is let those, knuckleheads in the uniparty, the elites, if you will, just continue to, try to have their way. In any event, that is Robert's rant, not on roids. I know we have to go to break, right?
Yeah.
So, Ericka, thank you for indulging me on this section.
Yes. Thank you,
Lots
Robert.
more outrage to follow. Lots more. In any event, folks, as I always say, we're bourgeois capitalists. We have to go make some money. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.